98.3, the Snake Twin Falls Classic Rock. It's Crash here, and I am on the phone with Michael Lardie of Great White, who is playing the grand opening of the Rock Canyon Amphitheater this Saturday night. Michael, thank you so much for calling in today.
Well, thanks for having us on. It's pretty exciting thinking about that we're the first out of the barrel, so to speak, on this new venue. We're pretty psyched about it.
I'm pretty convinced after you guys get done, there will not be a roof on this place.
Well, that'll be okay by us. That means we did our job.
People who don't know, you have a really impressive resume. Is there an instrument you don't play?
Well, there's lots of them out there, but, I always think about instruments that would benefit something production-wise with the band, and it's always been kind of my drive to learn something new. The next thing I'm going to try to attempt to do is sax, and my nephew actually is quite good, so he's going to give me a couple of lessons and get me going.
Even rock stars get lessons on instruments from their nephews.
Right.
That is awesome, man. I've always been a little curious, and I know you guys have done a lot of live albums and recordings over the years. How is that different, doing a live album versus, say, a studio album?
Well, the studio album, you get to really concentrate on each, bar and beat of every single performance you do, and you're really focused on, doing the best that you can do. And then you've also, at the same time, got to look back and say, is it a performance? Does it come across as something that when people listen to it, they think in their minds, that guy played that track all the way down from top to bottom, which is how we do studio records. The live thing, what's different about that is that, without a net, man, you're just out there and you go for it. And if you're playing your parts right, plus the attitude of playing live, it can be quite exciting. In fact, I was just working on a show that we had done in Vegas at the Hard Rock venue. We had just done a show with us, Skid Row, Extreme, and Twisted Sister, and it was called Metal Meltdown. And they had recorded multi-track audio and filmed it as well for a DVD release. I think it's going to be on Access TV down probably in October, November. So we're all pretty psyched about that. In fact, I'm working on that right now.
Just in time for Christmas, too. How nice is that?
Right on.
Great White playing this Saturday. So what can we kind of expect? I mean, is it going to be a lot of the old stuff, the new stuff? Because you guys are still writing and producing new material. I mean, what are we going to be looking forward this weekend in Twin Falls?
For the fans, we would always play, the classics, Rock Me, Save Your Love, Once Bitten, Twice Shy. I mean, I couldn't imagine a set without that. And the reality is, without the fans coming to the shows and buying the records over the years, basically helping us to actually have a career for going on over 30 years now. Those songs will always be in the set. As far as any new material, we do probably one or two from a new record because the fans want to get hip to it, but they don't want to be inundated with, this is our new sound, dig this. And at the end of the set, you say, Once Bitten, Twice Shy, good night. That's not what we'll ever be. But at the same time, we don't want to be a greatest hits band. And writing and recording new music drives us to continue to stay in the business. If it becomes a situation where nobody wants to do anything but the old classic stuff, it's probably going to be time for us to go, maybe we should rethink this. But as far as things are, we go full steam ahead, and the important thing is we just keep creating because hopefully we get better at songwriting and actually the joy of creating something new.
Now, in that whole songwriting thing, I mean, for you, is it a different approach to how you write now compared to 20 years ago?
The only thing that's probably different is, technology has allowed you to throw down a quick idea on a home recording rig and MP3 it to your bandmate, if you're not sitting in the same room. So you can pretty much whack through the ideas pretty quick to see if they're valid between, doing that. I think it's more efficient when you go into pre-production to actually work the songs out because I think you have a greater idea about what's going to happen. But we always give ourselves a little bit of time in the studio to jam some stuff out like it was in the old days because historically stuff like Mr. Bone came the last second. We're in the studio just jamming a tune out. That came out. All Over Now from the Once Bitten record, that came out. Big Goodbye was one that was from Cycle City that was last minute because we allowed ourselves to jam and come up with something. So it's an amalgam of both things. We want to get what we did in the past, but also, what affords us with a new technology.
Once again, we're talking to Michael Lardie from Great White, who is playing at the Rock Canyon Amphitheater this weekend here in Twin Falls. And Michael, I got to know, what is the weirdest road story of all time that you've experienced?
I don't really think we could really describe it on air because some of the really bizarre stuff that's happened to us over the years is quite triple X rated.
Oh, so let me preface that. Safe for Work wrote Weird Road Story.
safe for the radio. It's just been, it was such an amazing ride the whole time. I mean, there's nothing that comes to mind outside of the amount of flights that we've got to do, bus rides, all that thing. That's been crazy. For me, one of the strangest things that ever happened, we were recording Hooked in the studio, and I was working by myself late at night. There was a 12-string sitting on a stand, and I was working on a song called Congo Square, which is about the slaves and everything in New Orleans, back in the day, and how the plantation owners kind of pushed them into an area so they could practice their religion. And it was kind of like, themed with that kind of bluesy kind of thing about New Orleans. There's a little bit of like history and voodoo and ghosts and all that stuff in it. And while I'm sitting there playing the track and I'm listening to my slide guitar part, which has a ton of reverb on it to make it sound kind of like a ghosty voice, like, I'm listening to that in solo, and then I stop the tape and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do next. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden the 12-string goes ring. And now, mind you, there's nobody in the room. It's on a stand that is 12 feet away from me, and no music is playing, so it's not a vibratory thing from the speakers, that can make that happen. That just chilled me to the bone because there was something very ghost-like about that moment.
That is absolutely insane. Well, Michael, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to call us, and we're so looking forward to having you in Twin Falls this weekend.
It's going to be great. Like I said, we are so looking forward to opening that venue. We've never had the opportunity to do that throughout our very long career, so we're pretty psyched about it.
Well, we will see you then. Have a safe trip. It's going to be a party. It's just all there is to it, to a Great White show. Expect to just have a party.
See you on Saturday, Twin Falls. Let's rock.